In the endless cornfields of Nebraska, there stood an abandoned farm known as Black Hollow Cursed. They said anyone who entered the fields after midnight never came back. A worker who had recently arrived in America took a night job at the farm. On his first day, the old Grayson gave him one warning: 11 p.m., stay out of the fields, and if you see the scarecrow moving, don't look at it. Rahul, he thought the old man was crazy. That night, heavy rain hammered the farmhouse roof. The wind howled through the cornfields like distant screams. Then something knocked on the window. Rahul pulled the curtain aside. Far out in the field stood a tall scarecrow wearing a black hat, and there hadn't been one there earlier. Rainwater dripped from its arms. Its face looked disturbingly human, like stitched skin. Rahul stepped back in fear. And then the scarecrow turned its head toward him. The lights suddenly went out. Darkness swallowed the farmhouse. Then a voice whispered from outside, "Rahul, come outside." The voice sounded, but wrong, like something trying to imitate a person. A second later, heavy footsteps echoed across the roof. Something was walking above him. He looked toward the window again. This now standing just outside the house, closer than before. Its glowing eyes stared directly at him, and in its hand was a rusty, blood-covered sickle. The next morning, police arrived at the farm. The farmhouse was empty. But in the middle of the field, there stood a brand new scarecrow that looked exactly like Rahul. After Rahul disappeared, Black Hollow Farm was shut down. 3 days later, a new police team arrived to investigate the farm. Among them was Officer Emma Carter. Unlike the others, Emma didn't believe in ghost stories. To her, the scarecrow was local superstition, but the moment she stepped into the field, she saw it. A brand new scarecrow standing in the middle of the corn. Its stitched smile looked disturbingly familiar, and inside its shirt pocket was Rahul's phone. Emma turned the window and there was only one video. Rahul's terrified face appeared on the screen. "If any finds this, don't go beneath the field. They're still alive." The camera suddenly jerked violently. Behind him came the sound of something dragging through the dirt. Then, for a brief second, the camera captured a wooden hatch buried beneath the cornfield, and surrounding it, dozens of scarecrows, as if guarding something below. The video ended, ordered the field to be searched. Hours later, officers uncovered an old wooden door buried beneath the soil, rotten wood, and written across it in dried blood were the words, "Don't feed the creek." A horrible rotting smell drifted upward. A staircase disappeared into darkness beneath the farm. Emma and 2 officers descended carefully with flashlights. Below them stretched a massive underground tunnel. The walls were covered in dried blood, and in the center of the chamber, human skeletons tied to wooden poles. Some still had stitched skin across their faces, as if they had been turned into scarecrows. Then a voice echoed behind them. "You should not have come here." Emma spun around. Standing in the darkness was the tall scarecrow. But this time, it wasn't motionless. It was breathing. Emma's flashlight trembled in her hands. The scarecrow, standing in the darkness, slowly stepped toward them. Dry dirt crumbled from its body, as if it had been buried underground for decades. One of the officers panicked and fired his gun. Bang! The bullet tore straight through the scarecrow's chest, but it didn't stop. Its neck twisted sideways with a sickening crack, then slowly bent back into place. And suddenly the stitches across its face began to split open. There was no flesh underneath, only black, twisting roots moving beneath. The second officer screamed, "Run!" But it was already. Dozens of hands burst from the tunnel walls, dry hands. They grabbed the officer and dragged him screaming into the darkness. His cries echoed through the tunnel. Then everything went silent. Emma ran deeper underground. Far ahead, she noticed a dim red light glowing in the darkness. She entered a massive hidden chamber. Beneath the farm stood a pile of dead crops, and tied above it was Rico. Barely conscious, strange black veins spread across his face like roots beneath his skins. "Emma, the field is hungry." Suddenly, the ground began to shake. Something enormous moved beneath the chamber. Gigantic black roots burst from the floor. They connected to the walls, the bodies, even the scarecrows, as if the entire farm itself were alive. Then Emma saw it. At the far end of the chamber sat a wood, roots, and human bodies. Its glowing eyes burned in the dark, and when it spoke, its voice sounded of people whispering together. "Every harvest, the field demands new souls." The roots suddenly wrapped around Rahul's legs and began dragging him downward. Emma pulled out a knife and cut the tunnel exit, but behind them, thousands of scarecrows began moving at once. Their wooden bodies creaked through the darkness, and they were coming for them. Emma and Rahul ran through the underground tunnel as fast as they could. Behind them echoed the sound of thousands of wooden footsteps. thud, as if the entire farm itself was chasing them. Suddenly, black roots burst from the walls. The tunnel began closing around them. Rahul cried out in pain. Dark roots were spreading across his arms now. The field was slowly turning him into one of them. Then Emma spotted an old gasoline tank near the tunnel wall, probably left behind years ago by the farmers. If the field is alive, then we burn it. Rahul nodded weakly, sprinted toward the tunnel exit, but just before reaching the final door, the creature appeared. A towering monster made of wood, bones, roots, and human bodies. Its burning eyes glowed in the darkness, the entire cornfield as though millions of roots beneath the ground were breathing. The creature roared. Millions of scarecrows emerged from the darkness. Emma poured gasoline across the tunnel. Rahul pulled out a lighter with shaking hands. A black root stabbed straight through his chest. He screamed and Ellie turned complete black. Rahul looked at Emma one last time. His voice no longer sounded human. Emma began crying. "No, I'm not leaving you." But it wasn't. "The field will take you too." The scarecrows closed in around them. Rahul used the last of his strength to flick the lighter alive and dropped it onto the gasoline. Flames exploded through the tunnel. The black roots shrieked as they burned. The monstrous creature let out across the entire farm. Scarecrows collapsed into the fire, one after another. Emma barely escaped to the surface. Behind her, black hole. The night by sunrise, the entire farm had turned to ash. Police found nothing there, no sign of Rahul. But months later, farmers several miles away reported seeing a new scarecrow standing in their fields at night. Its burned, stitched smile looked disturbingly familiar. A faint whisper echoed through the corn. It was exactly 2:13 a.m. In a quiet town in the unit, Aaron had just moved into an old rental house for his new job. The house was cheap, too cheap, so cheap that nobody in the neighborhood even wanted to walk near it after dark. The first night was normal, the second night was not. Aaron suddenly woke up to a strange sound. At first, he thought it was rain hitting the glass, when someone was slowly scratching the window from outside. His hands trembled as he looked toward the bedroom window, and his heart nearly stopped. A woman was standing outside the glass. But Aaron lived on the third floor. There was no balcony, no ladder. The woman's skin looked pale white. Her eyes were completely black, and a twisted smile stretched across her face. This time louder, the woman slowly tilted her head, then whispered through the glass, "You let me in." Aaron stumbled backward in terror. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. Unknown number. He opened the message. It was a photo of his bedroom, taken from inside the room. In the picture, Aaron was asleep on the bed, and standing directly behind him was the same woman. Aaron's breathing stopped. Slowly, he turned around. The bedroom lights instantly went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Then he felt icy breath against his ear, and a voice whispered from behind him, "I'm already inside." Aaron's entire body froze. Were still echoed beside his ear. The bedroom was completely from outside, illuminated the room for a split second at a time. Aaron forced himself to turn around. Nothing. The room was empty. Breathing heavily, he grabbed his phone and turned on the flashlight. The bed, the closet, the cracked walls, everything looked normal. Then the light stopped at the mirror. Aaron's heart nearly exploded. In the reflection, someone was standing directly behind him. The woman. Her black eyes stared straight into his soul. Aaron spun around instantly, but there was nobody there. The flashlight began flickering violently, tapped. This time the sound came outside the bedroom, from the hallway. Thud. Heavy footsteps slowly climbed the stairs toward his room. Aaron rushed to the door right outside. Silence. Then something scratched the other side of the door. Very slowly, very softly. Aaron backed away in terror. Silence. Then something scratched the other side of the door. Very slowly, very softly. Aaron backed away in terror. Suddenly, long black fingers slid flat outside, trying to crawl inside. Aaron almost screamed. At that exact moment, his phone vibrated again. Number. One message appeared on the screen. "Don't look under the bed." Aaron's hands trembled uncontrollably, and from beneath it, two glowing black eyes opened in the darkness. The glowing black eyes beneath the bed slowly began to move. Every muscle in his body locked in fear. Then, scrr, a long, unnaturally thin arm slowly stretched into the moonlight. Its fingers were too long, too sharp, and completely black. Aaron stumbled backward with a scream. The bedroom door creaked open by itself. The hallway beyond was pitch black. But something was standing there, something tall. Its head nearly touched the ceiling, its neck bent sideways at an impossible angle. Aaron's phone suddenly vibrated again. Not a message this time. Unknown number. Shaking violently, Aaron answered it. The screen showed the outside of the house. Rain poured heavily onto the empty street toward Aaron's bedroom window. And that's when he saw it. Someone was standing inside the room, looking out through the glass. The exact same face, the exact same clothes, but just stared directly into the camera with a horrifying smile. Meanwhile, the real Aaron was still standing inside the bedroom, frozen in terror. The other Aaron on the screen slowly lifted one finger and pointed behind him. Aaron's blood, he turned around. The creature from under the bed was no longer crawling. It was standing directly behind him now. And inches from his face, the woman's black eyes suddenly opened wide. Aaron fell backwards, screaming. The woman stood inches away from him. That horrible smile still stretched across her face, but this time her mouth began widening far beyond human limits. Her jaw slowly cracked downward with a sickening suddenly. Her mouth began widening far beyond human limits. Her jaw slowly cracked downward with a sickening sound. Aaron crawled backward in panic. Then suddenly, scratching noises erupted from inside the walls. It sounded like stretched wider in walls, trying to claw their way out. Aaron's phone screen lit up by itself. The other Aaron appeared again, but now he wasn't standing near the window anymore. He came closer to the camera, step by step. His smile stretched wider and wider until the corners of his face began tearing apart. Then he whispered. The temperature inside the room dropped instantly. Aaron could see his breath in the freezing air. Then he felt something grab his legs. He looked down. Dozens of black hands were reaching out from beneath the bed, pulling him toward the darkness underneath. Aaron screamed wildly, trying to escape. Suddenly, the bedroom lights flashed on for a single second. And during that 1 second, Aaron saw words written on the wall in blood. "Don't let them see you." The lights died again. Darkness swallowed the room completely. Then whispers began echoing from every corner. Soft, broken, inhuman voices. "You belong with us now." In an old hotel near Chicago, people avoided one specific room, room 308. He checked into the hotel late at night. After a long drive, the old man handed him a rusty key and "Don't open the door." Marcus laughed. "Creepy marketing," he said. At exactly 3:07 a.m., Marcus suddenly woke up. The knocking was slow and soft. He looked at the clock, annoyed. "Who is it?" A young woman answered from outside the room. "Please." Her voice sounded weak, terrified. Then the TV inside the room suddenly turned on by itself. Static filled the screen and slowly, words appeared. "Do not let her in." Marcus froze. Outside, the woman started crying. "He's coming" became harder. Marcus bent down to look under the door. His blood turned cold. There were no feet outside. Only darkness. Then, bang! The door shook violently. Bang! The woman's crying suddenly changed into laughter. Deep, distorted, inhuman laughter. Marcus stepped backwards slowly, and in the reflection of the TV screen he saw someone standing behind him, a tall woman with a twisted smile and empty black eyes. Marcus slowly turned around, but nobody was there. The room became silent again. The TV was off. Breathing heavily, Marcus grabbed the phone at the bed and called the front desk. The line crackled with static. Then a whisper came through. "She's already inside." The calls connected. Marcus' hands started shaking. Then the bathroom door slowly opened by itself. The inside was... Marcus stared at it in terror. A few seconds later, something appeared on the bathroom mirror, as if invisible fingers were writing on the glass. "Look behind you." Marcus's heartbeat pounded in his ears. He turned around. She was standing in the middle of the room. Her long black hair covered most of her face. Her arms looked unnaturally long, almost touching the floor, and her neck twisted sideways with a sickening crack. Then she smiled. A wide, impossible smile. Suddenly, slam! The hotel room door shut by itself. The lights exploded into darkness. Marcus screamed. The entire floor heard it. But when hotel staff unlocked room 308 the next morning, the room was empty. No Marcus, no blood, nothing, except one sentence written across the wall in deep red letters. The police arrived at the old hotel in Chicago just before sunrise, but inside room 3, no broken window, no sign of could have escaped. It was as if he had simply vanished, but the real horror began when deep records. Over the past 20 years, 11 people had disappeared from room 300, and case happened after 3 a.m. An old hotel employee finally revealed the truth. Years ago, a woman had been murdered inside that room. Her husband believed she was insane. One night, he locked her inside and left her there alone. Guests later claimed they heard her screaming and calling for help all night long. By morning, she was dead. But according to the hotel staff, something never left that room. Now every night at 3 a.m., she knocks on the door pretending to need help. And if someone opens it, they never leave. The hotel was eventually shut down. Room 308 was sealed forever. Or at least, a group of urban explorers broke into the abandoned hotel to film a video for youthing, the dark hallways, the rotting walls, the silence, and finally, room 308. One of the boys laughed nervously and knocked on the knock. Nothing happened. For a moment, everyone relaxed. Then, from inside the sealed room, 3 knocks answered. Knock. The camera started shaking violently. One of the explorers whispered. Slowly, a single black eye appeared beneath the crack under the door. The video ended instantly. The group was never seen again, and according to local rumors, if you stay near the abandoned hotel long enough at night, you can still hear knocking from room 308. 3 months after the YouTubers disappeared, police recovered a damaged memory card near the abandoned hotel in Chicago. But the last 7 minutes were still playable. The video began at 3:11 a.m. as the group moved through the dark hallway with flashlights. One of the boys whispered nervously, "We need to leave, right now." Then, knock, knock. The sound came from inside room 308. The camera slowly moved closer to the door, and suddenly, the sealed door creaked open by itself. One of the explorers forced a laugh. Okay. Then the flashlight beam moved across the room. Everyone froze. A woman was standing in the center of room 308. She wore a pale black hair covered most of her face. Slowly, she lifted her head. Her eyes were completely black. The video captured a deafening scream. The camera dropped onto the floor. Now only footsteps could be heard. Running, panic, heavy breathing. "She's behind us." At that exact moment, every light inside the hotel suddenly turned on. For the first time, the entire hallway became visible. And that's when they saw it. The walls were covered with handprints, hundreds, as if people had desperately tried to escape. Then the camera slowly turned back toward room 308. Someone was standing near the doorway. Marcus. The same Marcus who vanished 5 years earlier. His skin looked pale gray. His eyes were completely black. Slowly, he stepped closer to the camera and whispered, "You stay here too." The video instant. To this day, locals claim that if you stand near the abandoned hotel after 3 a.m., you can hear multiple voices screaming from inside room 309. Because now, the room is no longer haunted by just one spirit.